Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. For YouTube viewers who are seeing this for the first time, this method we're using is called wave analysis. My name is Anil Mangal. I think you can figure that out if you find the video. Yep. Method is called wave analysis. And what we do is we look at the waves and the charts, and we see these waves create patterns, and then we identify the patterns, and then we decide which direction we think they're likely going to go. And I said the word likely because patterns are complex. They're not complicated, they're complex, which means the development of a simple pattern into a complex pattern easily happens. So even if we think that this one is going to go, it likely goes. Like I think today there's a buy setup here that will go. It doesn't mean that it is not going to go. It might just break out and then come back pretty deep to make a bigger correction and then go. So although I think there's a buy setup right now on this chart, and we already have an entry order to buy in it, the likelihood is this breakout will happen. It might do this, or it might just do this and pull back for a deeper correction before it goes. So that's the complex part of wave analysis. And that is where your strategy of trading comes in, which means we understand that. We already know in advance that that is a possibility. So when we take these trades, we have fixed strategies of how to enter, how to close the trade. We also have a series of fixed, blueprints you can call them, of how to manage your trades when it goes. What to expect, how it should move. If it doesn't do this, then what do we do? And most of the times, if we take this trade, the worst possibility, if they even drop back like this, is we're going to get a break even out of it. Most of the time, that's the worst outcome. If it really happens fast, which is probably, it's really that is going to go up very fast and come back very fast, you end up with a loss. And even when it's a loss, we manage to get out of that loss for less than we risk. All of that is because of the strategies you're using and the money management techniques we're using. So if you're going to try to follow what I do, remember what I'm giving you here is just the forecast or the analysis of where I think it's going to go, not how you should trade it. I'm not saying to you, buy this here now. I'm telling you, we're looking for a buy based on our strategy, and we have methods of how we're going to manage it. When I said we, if you're watching this for the first time, is we have an entire group of traders, hundreds of traders in a group. All of these are active traders, not just a group of traders, a group of active traders. I know they're active. They pay a monthly fee to be here active. I don't charge a monthly fee. The monthly fee is for the subscription to the trading, to the platform that we're using as a group. It's very cheap, but at least you have to be alive to be there. Because if you're not active, your accounts get deactivated. That's why I know they're real traders. So let's go. Today we're looking for a buy in this. If you're going to follow it, once it breaks out, you start managing the trade, because there are chances that because of these movements, and you already have a smaller correction here, that it breaks out here and starts to come back really fast and then go. You can close that trade for profit. You can eat. We don't normally sell this and go, but there's a chance that it might just continue to go as well, because this is an impulsive move, and in the impulsive move, the impulses are very sharp and the corrections are very small. So just be aware of this. Watch the analysis, and if you're seeing it for the first time, watch a few more. Let's start with the dollar index. And if you like it, share it. Dollar index, we're going up, and there's a good chance that this is what we thought it is, a big running flat, and we're going up. So any consolidation, this was a buy setup. Last week I told you two possibilities of this. One is that it does 1, 2, 3, and they drop one more. The other one is it does one. This is a big flat, and we're likely going to go up. Well, the second one happened, and we actually traded it on all the pairs, which means you wait for this correction and then you trade it up. You wait for a correction here today, and then we trade it up. So if we get a correction here today to go up, we're going to be in that trade to the upside. It's already forming because yen already had a dollar. Yen already has a flag. Silver dropped really nice. So I'm going to show you the deal, the silver trade again. We're still in the correction. And it's pulling back really sharp, which means if you take out all of these, those were sell setups. You're looking at these here, those were sell setups. I'll show you them later. This is what we have now. We have a very big move up, and we have a very big correction going on here. So regardless of how long it stays in this correction, eventually it's going to make another move up. Now, the only thing you have to decide based on wave analysis is it going to go up now? And I'm telling you, there's unlikely any reason for it to go up now, because this is an incomplete pattern. It doesn't matter how you look at the pattern, it is incomplete. Because, and I'm not going to go into all the details, so I'll just give you the two options of what I think it is going to do. One of the options is this comes back to this level, make a new low, go back up there, come back here, and then go. That's the first option. The second option is this just continue to go all the way to the top, come back here, and then go. So this thing has either to go all the way to the top, come back here, and then go, or just come halfway about the top. And there's a reason for that. I'll put this one somewhere halfway here, make a new low, then go up, then come back, and then go. See? So which of those two really doesn't matter, because the first move in both of those two is upside. And if we see that this thing is starting to go up, then great, we get a trade. So last week was a sell. I hope most of my traders managed to grab this last piece. That happened 3 a.m. for me. I was pretty much asleep, right? So we took that trade, and if you were here this morning in the session, you could have taken that trade. Some of my traders were in the trading room. I don't know if they got it, but some of my traders were in from Friday. So great. I hope they managed to get out early. If you got out even now, it's okay. But if you're still in the trade, now is not when you get out. You wait for this to pull back, and then you go for that trade. So this is an impulse down, an impulse up. You wait for this flag. It doesn't matter what size it's going to be. It could be a 1 hour flag, a 4 hour flag, which means it could happen today. It could happen till at the end of the week. But you wait for this to happen, and then you look for the next move up. Now, if it is going to make the short up move, which is going to look corrective up and then come back down, then it might most likely look like this. See this piece going up here? So you get a deep pull back here, and then you'll start to go. Right, that's one option. The second option is if it's going to make the big move all the way back to the top here. Where's the bigger top? If it's going to make that big move, then it's going to move faster, because that's the impulse of the entire move. That's a bigger impulse. So it's a buy setup today, regardless of how you look at it. Wait for the pullback, go for the buy. Same thing for gold. I'm not going to go into the details of gold, but same setup, same thing. Wait for it to pull back and then get in the buy. Euro actually broke the low, so we were absolutely correct about that being a running flat. And there's a reason for that, why we were low. Because when you look at this, that is unlikely how an impulse ends. If you go back, watch last week's webinar, that's what I explained, that there's a chance that this, and this is a running flat, and this one would actually come down here. These were two sell setups you're looking at. It's broke the low. Now, how far it has to go beyond that point? Really, as long as the low is broken, it can turn. But that doesn't mean it will turn. It can still drop more, and then turn. So what we would be looking for here is, do we have buy or sell setups? Now that the low is broken. Right now, we don't have either. Not a buy, not a sell. We just broke the low, and they're pulling back one more. So this, within a couple hours or within a day or two, would either be a flat here, and that means we will sell, or this would go up here some more today, make a flag here, and that means we'll buy. Can the flag eventually becomes a flat? Absolutely, because if they make a small flag and we buy, you could get an impulse. It could make another small flag, we buy an impulse, and then it starts to come back down and then go back up. And in the impulse, this would be the first impulse, correction, another impulse, and by the end of the week, we're falling. Or this just continued to go all the way to the top, all the way back to the top, because we broke the low. So which of those two? You don't know. That's a guesswork. But you can trade every bit of it, because this is an impulse up first. Now, if we assume that silver and gold is going to go up and dollar index is going to come down, then there's a high probability that this is going to go up. Not necessarily, but possible. So we will trade this up, and if this becomes a bigger flat, by the end of the week or midweek, we will see that, and we will definitely go for the sell. Maybe even a few buys, and it will happen. Few buys, few small sells, and then you go for the bigger one. But if this continued to go up, great, we're in good trades to the upside. See, pretty easy. So let's go. Take this out. That was the news event sell, and this was the trade. This was the sell on the flag. So we wait for a flag, and then we buy. That flag could eventually become the flat, or that flag could be the start of a very, very big move to the upside. Bang. This one we didn't trade because the assumption was this is going to break out a little more, and that didn't happen. So we'd have to relook at this pattern. Maybe a big contracting flat somewhere. This was our trade during the news to the upside, which didn't happen, it didn't trigger. I think we just have to relook at this whole pattern here right now, because there's a chance that this is still a sharp impulse. And we're going to get a sharp impulse here for a running flat, and maybe still one more down. So right now, there is no good trade in the pound. Eventually, it will break up. It will go to the upside because it's all corrected. You can see that eventually this correction goes up, but I think it's incomplete. We could probably look at it this way. I think that was one of the options we had last week, for this being a big running flat in the middle, and this being the 1, 2, 3. Well, if that is the case, then we'll assume that this is finished, it's completed, and this is going to go up. Right? You can see that there's a big corrective structure. So we can assume that this could go up, break out, or probably come back here, keep doing this for a while. Actually, we have seen situations like this where they go for a long time and then they even drop deeper before they go back up. So which of it, we don't know. We'll just watch it. We have a very good idea of where it could go and what it could do. So we'll just watch every piece as it develops. As of this point, if we get a flat, we sell. If we get an impulse and a flag, we buy. I don't think we have either. There's a small flag forming here in a 15 minutes, so that's likely more downside. It might take a while to consolidate, but that is likely more downside. Short downside, not big drop, because you can see they're not actually dropping very far. So even this sell here might not be a good idea. Although it's a possible sell setup, it might not be a good idea because it might just drop a little more and start going back up. Aussie. Okay. Aussie came down a little more, but they're actually going up now. So we could assume that this is still a correction. We expect this to break out. This is a correction. It's eventually going to fall. Right? So two options we were looking last week when we sell it. This was a sell, either totally break out or they go back up. I see they broke out, but they're pulling back very sharp. And that means that even if you broke the line itself, the line is irrelevant. Even the line is broken, that doesn't mean anything. The line is just to show what the pattern looks like. Right? So at this point, that was a sell. Take this off. We already got that sell. It stopped. It actually had another flag and it dropped. That would have been another sell setup, but you should be out to that sell for break even. And it's going back really sharp, which is either two things going to happen now. We'll make a flat here and then drop more. Perfect. That would be a good sell setup in the next couple hours, maybe 6, 7, 8 hours. Or they actually make a small flag at the top here. It comes up a little more and we make a small flag and then we'll be buying back to the top. If we buy back to the top, then we'll change this slightly. I think we'll be looking at this flat here. Right? That would just be a bigger flat in the middle, which would be this one. And we go one more up, which means this will just have to come a little lower like that. We will break the top. And from that point, anything is possible. So it could either go up as a single straight line or go up as a 1, 2, 3, because this is the biggest flat if that's the case. You get a 1, 2, 3, and then it's still downside. So this eventually still falls. The only question is it going to fall now or is it going to make more correction? So for now, I'll leave this here because this is the only correct trend line we have until we break out the top, which means we'll wait for this. Either we get a flag and we buy. I'll take out all of these. We'll put them back because the options are clear. One of the options is go up there, come down, go up, and then fall. It's already there. Take it off. And now we wait to see which of those two options they give us. Either they drop now or they go back up. It's still going to fall eventually. So let's see. I'll take this as a sell. Take that off. And let's see what happens here now. If we get a flag, I'm more convinced we're going to get a flag at buy. Because they're reversing that last impulse, and that's a good sign of a reversal. Which means wait for a flag, buy. And if this goes up because of the short, because if you look at these impulses, right? We look at the impulses, they're not very huge, which means this will probably just do something like this, make a correction here and go back, finish that move. We could probably come down from there. Just making a bigger correction. That's okay. If it turns out the flat here, perfect, we'll sell it. If it turns out to be a flat, which means it's instead of a flag, it comes much deeper here and then go back up. That would be a flat and that would be a sell setup. Let's see which one. New Zealand, definitely that was a good sell there. Let's see where it goes. Actually, there were two sells. You could either sell it from that point or you could have sold it from the break of this earlier, whichever, it doesn't matter. And we're now going up back. Let's see, we can pull this across here. Now. So take this off. And if they go one more up, where that will take us. It's possible. I could see one more up still. That would just make this a little bigger impulse. And then downside, or this actually drops. So we're looking at it this way. We thought that this running flat ended here, and this is going to drop. It still could drop if this turns out to be a flat rather than a flag. You know, so he's making a sharp move up. And if they correct back here like this and then do this, this would be a flat for a sell. Can it actually make one more up like this and then come back? Possible. That means we'll wait for a flag. You wait for a flag here. Buy it, comes to this level, put it to positive because it might not break out, it could still drop. So if it breaks out, good for you, you're in a good shape. So all you have to do is move it to break even and leave it. And if it starts to come down, look for the sell setup. Let's see. I think the sell setup is not, it could, the buy setup could happen, but it's very unlikely. So I'll be careful here for a flag. But if we get the buy, we can take it. You know, but there are better buy setups. I would not like that. I'd probably buy the Aussie or buy the silver or the gold. They're better buy setup than this one. But it looks upside, so that's good. Euro might be a better buy setup because Euro has a bigger pattern that broke the low. But they could still go up, so let's wait. Swiss is actually going up. Nothing new. We anticipated that move, and it's going really fast, really nice. And the question now is whether we're going to break out now or whether we're going to come back one more low. We're still in the correction, right? We're still in this correction. This is the impulse. We're still going to have an impulse out of it. But if this goes, then you get this impulse out of it here, and it will come back down because it's in a bigger correction, right? I showed this last week. I don't know if you guys saw it. So we're in a big correction. This would be the first complete pattern once we break out of it. Now, are we going to break out now? Well, good for us because we are in the buy. If we break out now, that would be good. You can see we had buy setups from here last week. And if you were following me, you should be in that buy. It's going to make a correction here and continue to go, or it's going to drop, make flags, and then we sell it back to the low here. And then the upside. That impulse will still come. The question is whether it's going to come now or it's going to come after we make a new low. Very likely we can see upside here. There's a lot of upside in the euro, the pound, Aussie, New Zealand, silver, gold. So I wouldn't be surprised if this makes a new low. Right, that's possible, but we would have to wait for that. So if we see any correction here, it has to drop, make a flag, and then we start selling, or it has to make a flat here, and we go for the buy. Which, let's wait and see. So a lot of these charts would need update, let's say within a day or two, for you to understand the direction, the bigger direction, after all these consolidations are finished. So I might just likely do an update for you guys, maybe Wednesday. So if you see this video and you like it and you would like to know which direction eventually they go, come back, watch it Wednesday. I'll post my Wednesday. I do this every single day for my group, and then we have 5, 6, 7 sessions a day. Like I said, there was already an Asian session this morning. Our traders were there, and this is the second Asian session. I am in this one, and we'll have another one when we finish this. And then we have the London Open, and then we have Mid-London session, New York Open, all of that. So that's how often we update the patterns. But you can probably get an update by Wednesday if I see the bigger direction confirms whether they're going to come back to the low or they're actually going to break out. So if you would like it, share it, and wait for the next one. CAD, we broke out of the CAD. We're still in the big consolidation in CAD. This would definitely come back down. The only question is how high would it go? How high would this go here? And it's gonna really go like messy because this would be the B part before we come back here and go. So CAD is in a correction. That's a daily correction in the making. It's not going to go anywhere very fast. Even the movements, you see how much Swiss move, look how much the CAD move, not much. So CAD movement will be slow. There will be impulses in it. It's going to be, the corrections are going to be very deep. So it broke out. They're making a flag here. They might probably continue to go because I think we broke the top. Yeah, well, they might not even continue to go. They might still come back all the way to the bottom here, make a bigger flat, and then go. So CAD trading is not the best one because it's making a B wave, and that means you're going to have short impulses, deep corrections. Best thing is to stay out of it. Right now, there's a buy setup forming, but the best thing is to buy something else or sell something else. We don't have a sell setup in it as yet. Yen, this one that we started with, there's a buy setup, and this could potentially go quite a lot. Regardless of whether euro, pound, all of that goes up, this could still go up. So we'll have to wait and see, but this is definitely going to go up. Now, the only question is whether it pull back very deep before they go. Whether this pulls back like, really deep, then go. So this could spend a day or two here consolidating and then go because you've got an impulse here already. Or it could break out right now, which means the next candle does that. Well, we have an entry order if it goes out right now. If it's going to be a deeper correction, you just allow the correction to finish and then you go for the buy. Aussie yen. Okay, this one would likely still break this top before they come down. We're making a big flat here. I think you could probably see this now. It's very clear. Now, the only problem, if they come down from here, that'd be a contracting flat. Not good for us. It's difficult to trade the contracting flats. Let's hope they go back up some more. So the only hope is that we're not looking for a buy in this. I think especially since the possibility of a contracting flat is there, better not to buy it. Wait for it to go back up and then look for the sell. Because this is just a big flat. Most likely flats would break that top because we didn't break the low. Right, the low is not broken, so we're expecting a running flat. If it is going to come down from this point as a contracting flat like this, right, we're going to come down from here, any flat here will sell. Sell setups we will take. Buy setups, I think we should ignore. It's definitely looking more upside, but we'll ignore the buy setups. Euro yen. We're expecting this to drop, right? If this piece here is the running flat, but I don't think it's a running flat, I'll take this off because I don't think that's the running flat. This one is really sharp and this one is not so sharp. So there's a good chance that we're still in the correction and we haven't got this sharp wave up as yet. And that is okay. This can come down for a while, make a number or a series of correction. We will get this eventually, but not now. So we traded it up, we're trading it down, and right now, probably just stay away from it. There's a possibility it's going to go up one more. I think there's a likelihood this is going to go up one more, maybe even break this top. Not a good buy setup and no sell setup in it. So just leave it because this is coming down like this, which means you don't want to sell that. You want to wait for a buy, but we'll wait. I don't see the clear buy setup as yet. So let's wait, see how this behaves, and then we'll decide on the trade. Maybe later this week you get a clear direction for a bigger fall or bigger upside. New Zealand yen. This one went up as expected. We were expecting this to go, they go there. So if we get a sell setup here, we'll take it. This was a buy setup to complete something like this, just like in New Zealand, complete the pattern like this and then come down. And it actually started to fall, really nice. So we've got an impulse down. See, this was a sell setup, take this off. So we went up there and we're coming down. This is a very sharp impulse. So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually get a downside in this, which means if this here becomes a flat eventually, more consolidation and drop. If this becomes a flat, we'll sell. This sell is absolutely good. If it goes up some more, I don't think the buy is a good idea. We'll see. All it's going to do is make this impulse a little bigger. Nothing is wrong with that. It can go more before they come. So if this becomes a flat, that's a perfect sell setup. And there's a likelihood it can become a flat. So we'll wait and see. Canadian. This was the buy setup, that's finished. It actually went up, broke the top, come back down. And it's kind of incomplete right now. Right? It doesn't matter how you look at the Canadian. It looks incomplete. This was coming down really nice. There were good sell setups, but it's stopping and go back to the top. So now we have a move down and we're getting a move up. And that also doesn't make sense because you'd have to at least get one more move here before you go up. Even if this goes break the top, the same thing, you'd expect one more down before you go up. So if we're trying to go up to break the top again, let's say we're going to make a new high. Let's assume that this move down 1, 2, 3 was the correction. And this is going to break the top again before they come down. It will eventually come down on the weekly pattern, right? This could have been the top of the weekly pattern, and we thought that for a long while that that is the top of the weekly pattern and we're going to fall. But when this starts, that could have changed it. So this could be a correction instead of the fall, and this could be making a flat here to go back up. But like I said, it's incomplete at the moment. So which direction will we get short term? Short term downside is most likely. Right? More likely that this should fall on the downside. We're making something here, take off. This is a small one. They made a top, come here, another small one, and they're making another one. Not a good idea to sell. It's more a sell setup, but not a good idea. We definitely don't have a buy setup as yet. And because of this sharp move, this would not take off. So you might be stuck here in the consolidation for a while. Don't trade it. Just leave it. Trade something else. You have better setups than most trades, most pairs. And the same with the Swiss yen. This pullback was pretty deep. And when you get such deep pullback, instead of the fall, you're getting a flat for one more up. So where would that take us? We'll see. Definitely looks like one more up is going to happen here. And this could still be a big flat for downside. This is a pretty sharp move. And I don't think it ended here. It could end it there. You could probably look at it this way. You could say this is the flat in the middle here. That is an option. This is the end of the move when we're going up. But I think that's unlikely. It's possible, but unlikely. So we'll still keep this option open. That is a big running flat. And from here, we'll see what happens. If this becomes, this is a deep pullback. When you get that, you're thinking that there's going to be a flat here for one more. That's the most likely scenario, but not absolute scenario, because if this makes a flag here, we could drop. So if we get a flag, we sell. If they go back up, we'll probably get a buy setup sometime later in the week, not today. Right? This has to go up, make a flag, and then becomes a buy. But the sell, it definitely could happen today, which means if this stays a flag here for a couple hours, that could be a sell setup. So let's wait and see which one. Euros. Okay. We can make an assumption. This still looks like a big running flat. I think still possible. Take off that. That didn't give us any trade. And let's see what it's doing right now. Well, right now you don't have a buy setup. We also don't have a sell setup. If you take this off, let's assume they're going to go one more lower, right? That it's coming down, it's going to make one more drop lower. We don't have enough. This was a small flat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, possible an expanding flat here. Better not to sell it. Sell something else. Even if we don't have a buy setup as yet, and the move we're looking for is a buy to break the top and then come down. Break that up and then come down. Bigger move is downside. Right? So eventually this comes down, right? Because this is a correction. The only question is whether it makes one more up there and then come, because this looks very much like a running flat. Right? It doesn't look like we ended the structure here and we're coming down with. I still believe that looks more like a running flat. So, but we don't have a buy setup here. So there is no trade to the upside as yet. Can it drop lower and then do that? Yep, it's possible. It could go as low as possible. It's an expanding flat. It could come here and then go back up. And you don't have a sell setup, which means there's no good sell setup in it right now. Euro New Zealand. This is also a big correction. And eventually this has to go back up one more like that. So when you're at the bottom here, there's no good sell setup. But if we get a buy setup from here for this move up, we'll take it. All right, so let's go back into this. It doesn't mean this one is going to go out, because they could still stay in that range I showed you there for a while, which means come back to the top, come back to the bottom, and then eventually go. Well, let's see which one it is. This is a nice impulse, actually. They started with a very good impulse here, but this is a very deep pullback. Right? This impulse is really sharp, but then it's a deep pullback. So I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes a bigger correction here. And we make a new low. And then start the up move. This is not a sell setup. It's a big flat, but I don't think it's a good sell setup, because this is definitely not going to drop, which means there's no big drop to the downside on this. So even if you get a sell setup here, this would be a very short trade, after which the buy setup will be good. So we can look for the buy setup. There's a good chance that this is what you're doing here, because this is sharp. This is sharp too, but it could be a sharp one within this. This piece up wasn't sharp. See, this piece up here was very slow. Looks more correction here. So you could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This goes up, come back, retest the low, and then go. So let it go, retest the low, and then turn. Then we look for the trade to the upside. EuroCAD, this will go down some more. This did exactly what we thought it would do. Went up to the top, make a bigger expanding flat, and we're coming. We need to break this low. I'm expecting them to break this low here, because this is a bigger flat. So this needs to come down here, break that low, and then go back up. Right? So there's more downside, which means there are more sell setups. You're getting a correction here, which is good. Take this off. It actually had a small flat, but now they're making correction here, which is good. The longer this correct, the better the trade to the downside. Look for a correction and then downside. Sorry, this is very clear. Euro Swiss. Okay, this actually, I think we actually dipped the low here. Let me see if they broke it. Well, they tagged it, but it's hard to say whether it's broken, depending on which platform. Because if this low is not broken, we're going to come back down. But if this move dropped, they broke the low, then we could likely be going up. Let's take this. So that was a stop and a sell setup that we had. So this could be the start of the upside if this is the low. We'll have to check it in a few platforms. I'm not sure it's broken. On mine, it's not showing up. So what's the bigger picture? The bigger picture is that this eventually goes back up. Now, is there a chance that we can come and break this low? It's very possible we can come and break that low, but this move down is really, really, corrective. So the only way I'm going to be looking for a downside is if this turns out to be a bigger flat, something like this. If we get a bigger correction here, or a flat 1, 2, 3, if we get a bigger correction here, then this would totally drop. We'll break this low. But if this keeps going up, we're going to make a new high and then come down. So how would you know which one is going to happen? Just follow this piece. Like I said, we're going to just follow this piece. Right now, if you make a flag there, we buy it. And if this stays as a flag, a correction here, it's a buy setup. If it starts to drop again, make a flag, you sell it because they're going to break this low. Or it comes deep, go back up, come deep, go back up, and stay here for a while. That is good because then it's a sell setup. So you just have to wait very long to know. Maybe by the end of the week, we'll know which direction it's going. For today's trade, I don't see much of a trade on it right now. Maybe a small 15-minute sell setup. That's all. Pound yen. Okay, the pound yen is at the bottom here. Oh, it's within the pound trade. I remember we brought it down for the anti. Pound yen looks like it can come down. Let's see in the big picture what it looks like. Yeah, they could probably come back here. And then upside. Because this would be a flat. If you get that, then this would be 1, 2, 3, and we'll make a new high and then come down. All these moves will eventually drop. Right? All the yen pairs will eventually drop. On the weekly, they're all correcting upwards. See that? The only question now is whether this drop had started from that point or whether we're going to make a new high and then come down. That's the only question. Right? Because eventually it will come down. So is it going to make a new high? It looks very likely now that they're going to make a new high. Right? This is not the start of the downside. In the first place, it started really slow. And you've got some really big flats in it. In the second place, they made a sharp impulse and they're making a flat at the top there. You can see that. Pretty much that would become a flat from upside. You've got to move down. You've got to move up. You get one more down here. You get a flat. And then that means you'll be trading this up. See? We know the dollar yen has up moves. So maybe all the yen pairs make new highs and then start the big drop. So go back to the 1 hour here and see what it's going to do. You might get some sell setups. Right? Because I think we broke the top. Not as yet. They can still break the top, which means this could still go break that up and then come back here. and then go. So if you're going to buy this, be careful. This sell is what you're looking for, and then the buy setup, because you need a bigger flat here before we go up. And it's making a perfect flat. As a matter of fact, if you get a sell setup, take it to come back and retest this low. Right? We'll see what pattern is formed there, and then we're going to get the upside. So it will come back to this level and then go up. European. Okay, we broke the low, so let's see, is it ready for an upside? Two ways we look at this. Let me put it back again. And I have those two lines. Either you look at this as a 1, 2, 3, and this go down totally, which means break out of the structure and go much more. Or we assume that we're still in this correction here. And this goes back up to the top, then come down, right? Which means one more up and then come down. As soon as we broke that low, which is good. But as soon as we break this low, we'll go with the contracting flat. I think we literally tagged the low already. Oh, we broke it. So we think the best option we go is probably the contracting flat. So we can go with that contracting flat, which means we're not going to go back up because we already tagged the low. Unless we're looking for a big running flat now, right? The only way this goes back up is if this whole thing becomes a huge running flat. So take that off. It didn't break out, still going down. Do we have a sell setup? Nope. But if it pulls back very strong and start to drop, you can go with the trade. So if this comes back here and start to drop, this would be a running flat, and that would be a really good sell setup for the downside. So now that you're here, we'll wait and see. Is it going to be a bigger running flat, which means do we come back to the top here still and then drop? Or does it just make a running flat here and drop? Either would be good. So let's wait and see. We don't have any sell setup for sure, and we don't have any buy setup. If it consolidates here, we sell. If it makes a sharp pullback and drop, we sell. If it makes a sharp pullback and a flag, we buy. Thomas, downside, definitely. And it's already started that downside. You could see this. There's a pullback there. Let's go into 1 hour. Yep, it is already coming down. So these were the two ways we're looking at it. Come back here and then go. And they actually didn't come back. They just went immediately from this point. So the upside is finished. Take this out. Do we have more within that upside? Within the downside, let's see. So is it complete pattern? That would be difficult to say if this pattern is completed because we've got this sharp pullback here. We could probably come here 3, go back up there, come back and still go. I still think this consolidation could be some more because this sharp one up here doesn't have anything to complete the flat, right? So although we're going down now, I don't think this would be the downside as yet. Take this off. So we could stay in this correction here for a while. Take this off. Which means we might still come back down here for this one. Go back up. Make that, even come back down and go back up and then drop. Because I don't see this fitting in for any one of those moves. And we don't have a complete three-wave structure. So there might be sell setups here today. We will sell it. The longer they stay there, the more it's still a correction, right? But if it stays here and complete, if this stays here and do this and go up much higher into this, right? Come back here. Then it will come down, but then it's going to go back up as a flat. But if we stay within this range, it's going to drop very much. So let's wait and see how it develops. You can trade within that range, shorter term trades. If we get a flag, we'll sell it. Right, you see there are shorter term trades. We traded this one. I remember this one. I think we traded this one up. There are a few small trades you could have gotten here. So if we get a flag here, we can trade this down. It might not be that big. It might just drop like this and go back up. If we get a flag here, we'll buy it. If we get a flag, we'll sell. So you can trade within the range shorter term, but you'll have to be very careful. So let's see. I don't think this would be the drop. Eventually it will drop, but I don't think this one. I think still there's a few more waves in there. Punkat. Okay, Punkat could definitely give you a sell now. All right, so you can go for that sell setup. We don't need more waves. We can drop to this level and then upside, right? You've got a sharp one, you're going up, you can come back to this level and then go. So let's see if it's going to drop there. Or if we're going to make bigger corrections. do this. If this becomes 1, 2, 3, go back up there, come back here, and then make a new one, and then come down, which means a bigger flat in here. See that? Kind of a 1, 2, 3, come back here, and then go up. Well, we'll see if it makes that bigger flat, but the setup right now is for a sell, either a short-term sell or a drop to the bottom. I think we can take the sell and then manage it. Pound Swiss. Okay, let's see what the bigger picture looks like. This didn't come down. We actually made a new high, so take this out. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, put this like this now. Well, it definitely doesn't have total upside. Right, I don't see this thing going up totally because I don't see the completion of the pattern anywhere for upside. Is this the low? Nope, doesn't fit for the low. So there's still a chance that we're just making a bigger flat here. And then drop. So let's wait and see whatever this pattern, this whole piece is trying to do. Let it finish it, and then we get sell setup, which means every time you come to the top, let it break the top. The break of the top, and then any sell setup is a good one. Can we buy this to the upside? I think we'll be very cautious about buying it because there's still one more downside before it goes. Pound New Zealand, let's see. So are we breaking out or are we going back up? That's the question. The question is whether we're going to break out here now, make a new low, or maybe something like this, and then possibly more up, right? Complete a bigger running flat here. So there's a chance you can get a trade like this here. Let's see if we have anything in that. It didn't break out here, and it's bent up some more, so you can change this, put it like this, and still look for the sell setup. Still look for a sell setup here. That was a short-term buy. It turned out to be a good one, by the way. Right, there was a short-term buy setup there. So if we break this level, it's a sell. If they make a flag here, we sell. One more drop is definitely coming. Can it consolidate more? Most likely, yes, you can get more consolidation. So let's see. If we get a breakout, that's a good sell. Aussie Swiss. Well, let's take this off. It's going up more, but it still looks very corrective. Right, we're going up a little more, but I still think that looks very corrective. Probably stay out of it because the buys are not really good and the sell setup is not there as yet. So stay out of that one. Let's see Aussie CAD. The sells here were perfect. Let's see what we expect this to do. It's probably coming down as a B wave. We'll get one more up. Take this out. This is coming down as a B wave within this impulse. See, kind of drop, 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 and then it'll probably go back up. So let's see if we have buy setups already. Not necessary. Take out this. That sell is already out. That sell would have been, I think, in news there. And let's see what we have here. Nothing as yet. If this turns out to be some kind of a correction, we'll sell. The sell is very short term. You can see that. But if it gives you a buy, which means if this turned out to be a flag here, that becomes a buy. So flags we can buy. Short term sells we can still consider them. Could it be making a channel here? Let's see something like this. Yeah, you could be making a small channel here. This channel tend to break to the upside, which means they can come down and go up within a, within that range for a long while, and then upside. 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry, just had to take a sip of water. Let's go. And Aussie New Zealand. Yep, don't trade it. It's gonna go down, but it's incomplete now. See, they kind of make this move up slowly, then they made this, then they come back here, they probably do something like this and then drop. So if you get that complete piece, then the sell might be okay. Take this out. Wait. New Zealand Swiss. Okay, we're breaking out of this structure, so this might be the total upside. We're breaking out of this structure, And that means we're going to look at the option of it coming to this level and then either break out or come back down. Right, so we're within that range. You can see they come back to the top, they come down, they make a move, come down, go back to the top, come down. So drop halfway, come down, then they can either go back to the top and come down or break out. So we look for buy setups because we're breaking out of this smaller range here, which means you've got a running flat in the making here. I think this is a clear running flat with a buy setup in it. See, there's a buy setup here, so that setup is good. That's upside. I would put this as a running flat here, most likely. And there's a buy setup here. You already have a buy setup, so it's total upside. This upside already finished. That was a buy to this top to complete and break out of this structure. Let's see if this continues to go. We're going to expect it at this level. So you can buy the breakout of the running flat, or you can wait for another flag and then buy whichever. But every flag we get will be buying to this top. And then when it comes here, we'll see whether it breaks out or whether they come back down. New Zealand CAD also looks upside. This was a sell, it stopped, didn't go far. Wait for flags. Let it break out, make a flag, or let it make a flag first. Don't try to buy it here, right? So take this out. We're kind of moving in this range. See that? And we're gonna make a new high. What's the bigger structure looks like? Still looks corrective. Even if this go make a new high, which is likely, it will break this top, but this whole thing still looks corrective. So there's some point that it's still going to come back. Right? It's not going up as yet. So there are buy setups to go to break this top, wait for a small flag, and then buy. I'll probably wait for this to make a flag here or break out, make a flag, and then look for buy setups. Cat Swiss going up, and it's probably going to go some more. We're making a big flat here. We're coming back to retest this top. So there's still probably one more up. Take that out. That was a buy that is still haven't gone as yet. Yeah, wait for one more to the top there. That's a perfect flat for a sell setup. Wait for it to come here, and then we'll look for the sell setup. Probably break that up because we didn't break the low. So there's a move up here and then downside. We still have a few buy setups in it. At least one more buy setup. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to break the top because we didn't break the low. So take this off. That's over. And wait for it. Wait for a setup here, a flag here. Go for that trade. Take out the profit and look for the sell. And here we have, so it didn't come down. It actually went up from this point. Let's see. Let's take this off and see. I thought this range would be bigger, but they actually break out. So it's more like a 1, 2, 3, and then you expect it to come down, right? That was the plan. Yep, we did break that up. So let's look for sell setups. Any sell setup you get, you can go with. This actually look like a flag for upside. See this piece here? Either this is the top or we're making an expanding flat for one more up and then downside. So the buy is not a great idea, but if you get a flag here, this becomes a very good sell setup. If you get a flag here, the sell setup is good because we were expecting it to go up and they go up. It's strange. We'll have to look back at this structure. 1, 2, 3 looks good. 1, 2, 3 looks good. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Could be. They didn't break the low, but we could go with that. This is the up move. So any flag here becomes a sell. The buy is not a good idea. It could go up one more, but the buy is not a great idea. Let's see. Copper looks upside still. The biggest structure in copper still looks upside. So yes. So here's the question. Are we going to drop through this bottom or are we going to make a new high? From this point, it could go make a new high or it could literally drop through the bottom, right? Like this. 1, 2, 3. Or we go make a new high and then come back. So what you would look for here is what you have at the moment. Do we have any buy or sell setup? No. This was a buy setup. This actually dropped. I don't think you have much of a sell setup there. But if this gives you another flag, see that flag there? If this gives you another flag here, we buy again back to the top. And assume that they can break out. This could be the end of the correction. Right? You could make an argument for a flat there. You could make an argument for a running flat there. Let's see. Yep, you could definitely go for a running flat there. And this could totally go up. So wait for a flag, buy. If you get a flag, buy it back to retest the top. If this becomes a flat, I would look for sell setups, but you don't have anything right now for the sell. UK oil. Okay, they dropped pretty deep. right? So we were looking at two options here. Either this is a running flat, we have to break that up. Definitely have to break the top if it's a running flat. If it is not a running flat and this is a contracting flat, those are the options we had earlier. Take this off, right? If this instead is a contracting flat and this is the top of the structure, then we're making a bigger correction here because this one is pretty sharp and deep. This one is pretty sharp and deep. So we would only know that when all of this is completed, which means whether we're making a bigger corrective structure. And if that's the case, then this could go back up there, come back here, and then go, making a bigger flat like that. If that is not the case, and this is the top of the movement and we're dropping totally, then there's a chance that this could go down some more, pull back up and drop totally. So at this point, if you get sell setup, we take it. If it reverses, we get buy setup, we take it. Right now, it's making a flag for a sell. You're making a correction here, and that's a good sell setup, right? You see, these were all sell setups. This is a sell. So if this consolidate there, you're looking for a sell setup. One trade at a time, because this is the low. So you'll go one single trade at a time and take off the profit. If it goes back up sharp like this and make a flag, we're going to buy it to break this top. You're in a consolidation, and a lot of up and down moves are still possible. Same with US oil, right? Same thing here, same structure, everything. So this one didn't go up from there, it went up from here, and that's a running flat. See the running flat? We were expecting this to stop here and go back. They came a little lower and go back. It's the same thing, except you got a running flat here now. It still made the running flat, it made it at a different place, just like this. Okay? So that still is the running flat. And you've dropped beyond the low, so we can go back up now. Now they can go back up totally upside, or just come back here and drop again, depending on whether we go with the contracting flat or whether we stay with the running flat. Well, let's wait and see. They'll tell us eventually. Right now, I think there's a sell setup forming here. Short term, which means one trade only. Take profit. Natural gas, upside. Eventually, that's a buy setup. See, they're consolidating there for the upside. US 30. Yeah, probably one more up. This is going to go up a little more. Wait for the flag and then go for the buy. There's a sharp move here, so you could probably get a running flat with that, which means it's going to go up, pull back, and then continue to go. DAX, more upside. I think we'll break the tops. Eventually, I think this is going to break out of the top and then come back. This whole piece is looking very, very corrective. See, this piece is all big pieces looking like a weird correction forming. So you kind of get a 1, 2, 3 here, which is a big flat. You got this move up, so you might get another move up like this. You might pull down back for this one. Kind of a weird one there. So we might get a pullback for this one here, and you might end up with all of this just being a big corrective structure from more up, right? So it's too much clusters in there, and it's incomplete at the moment. I don't think this is one of its own because this was not very sharp. If that was very sharp, then we'll probably count this as one of its own, and this is separate flat, like two separate flats. But we don't have two separate flats. This one is a complete flat, this piece. You can go with this as a complete flat. This one, even if we go with a complete flat here, the up move is very small. But this is buy setup, break the top, and then we'll see what happens from that point. If you're going to buy it, buy with caution. So it's pretty much doing something like what this piece did and then eventually drop. Trying to break the top and then eventually drop. So let's see. Buy setup. Right, it's making a buy setup right now. Let's go. S&P 500. That's a buy upside. You still have a buy here. It's still a buy setup. Okay, so we can either go with the contracting flat or we can go with a running flat and play here. I think the running flat is more likely, right? So you can either look at that as a contracting flat there, or do you allow this to come back here, make a running flat, and then go. This would be a flat in the middle, something like that, right? So yeah, you could see this come a little more, and then it's a buy setup. I don't think we broke the top and totally got out. So let's see. It seems we have a lot more moves in this to go. Can you trade it downwards in the 1 hour? Possible if you get a flag, you're sharpen, but if they just come sharp and then go back, look for the buy setup. AU 200, still more upside. You can still buy. I still think there's more upside to go. But you got to be careful because we're getting a lot of divergence now. Nifty. Yep, if you consolidate, there is more upside. So this one eventually broke out. We were looking at a bigger running flat, but then I realized that this seems to be like a separate one of its own. And this seems to be the running flat in there. Makes sense looking at it this way. And Tesla. Correction. So eventually we're still in this correction, right? This piece could either come back here, go back there, come back, go back, eventually come here. Go back up and then come down. If we're looking, we'll be getting this. We're correcting upwards and then we'll get this. So any buy setup is short term, any sell setup is short term. There's a buy setup forming now. You get a small flag here, see? It could go a little more, come back here. Amazon actually dropped really sharp. It completed the pattern and started to go up really fast, but then it stopped, and that is okay. You broke the top. Pattern completed and they're dropping. So we're looking for sell setups, which means we could be coming down for a bigger correction, a much bigger daily correction. See that? This could end up coming down for a much bigger daily correction. Can we look at this up move as a possible running flat in the making here? I don't think so. So if they consolidate here, wait for a sell. I think it's consolidating. It could go back a little more here. But if they stay there, that's a sell set. We do have a gap there. Nothing is wrong with that. It doesn't have to go back and fill the gap. So Reliance, you make a bigger flat here and it's still downside. Look for sell setups. We're coming down to break this low. So look for sell setups to the downside. PayPal. Yep, it's coming down. We'll probably correct here and we're looking for downside. Complete the flat and then up. And this also looks like you're getting a consolidation here. If this is the top, wait for a flag here and then sell. If they're going to go back up, buy the break of this. All right, so it's either a short-term sell or a longer-term buy. This could be the top of the whole move, which means if you get flag here, look for sell setup. Bitcoin, that's good. Good. So Bitcoin is back there. Let's see, we're at the top of the corrective structure. Let me bring that down here. Right. So it went up higher than expected. Let's take this one out. This went up. Let me take some of this out. And take this one out. Take this out. That's the downside. So this is what we have. We have a move up, a move down, a flat, a move down, and then you get 1, 2, 3 up. But I think we still have to get one more down to complete the pattern, because I don't think it's completed. We could be making a bigger correction in here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We still don't have this sharp move up. So if we take this to match that one, it's possible, could work. If we assume that this is a bigger correction of its own, this one is a bigger correction of its own, then we still have to come back down. So I don't see the start of the upside that's coming as it. I see all of this as just one big correction, right? So now that we're at the top of the correction, let's see what happens now. Put it in the hourly. Take off this. Got a running flat in here. If this gives you flag, we sell. Right? If we get any flag here, like this, that's a sell setup. If it's going to continue to go up, you have to wait for it to make a flat. You have to wait for it to consolidate here, make a flat like that, and then go for the buy. Right now, the sell is the higher possibility. And there's a good chance it could come down back to retest these lows, break the lows, as a matter of fact. XRP, yep, we still go up. This didn't drop, they go one higher. Now that still is correction. This still is 1, 2, 3, even though it went higher. Take this off, and that's a new high. Take this off. Maybe we'll have to look at this as a bigger correction. This piece, this entire piece is a bigger correction, and still look for sell setups. Right, that still is a correction for downside. See? It's just a bigger correction, which means this just went a little higher. That's all. Right now, can it go higher? Yep, they're possible, but you don't have any buy setup in it. Right, there is no buy setup in it. So you just have to wait for this to make a flag and sell. If they go back to the top, come back here, make a bigger flat like this, then you get one more buy. So most likely this sell is going to happen. Let's see. And this looks like a big flat for more upside. This piece looks like a really big flat here for one more up. Let's see what's the biggest structure. Well, it can go up because we're looking for this move up here. See? So you get 1, you get 2, and you get 3. Is it completed? Could be. Let's take an arrow and see what size of move we're looking at. We're looking for something like this. It could still go up some more. See? That could still go up some more. So we could look at this as a possible flat for one more up. If they make a flag here, then you can sell, but it's very likely we're going to get one more up there. Yeah, this one also more up. Right, this will probably be a correction. And we're going to go more up. Let's see this one. PH. Okay, this one already broke the top, so this could come down. Right, the top is broken. See, that up move is completed. We're looking for this move now. So, yep, somewhere here you start to look for the sell setup. If you get sell setups here. So what you wait for is this. It makes a flag, we sell. If this makes a flag here, we sell. If it turns out to be a flat, which means they go up there, you're going to get one more up. It can go higher, right? If nobody says, within the corrective structure, all you need to do is break the stop to complete it. That doesn't mean that's the completion of the pattern. That means the requirements are completed. But this could work its way all the way to the top here and then come back. So if it becomes a flat, it's a buy. But if it starts to drop, it's going to drop back to the low. So if you see sell setup, go for it. We don't have any flag to sell us yet. Small, very small ones, but wait for a bigger correction and then you go for the sell. Dash. Yeah, pretty much a big flat. It looks like a big flat at the top there. One more up, most likely. Got a big flat there, so this will probably make one more up there. Okay, this thing looks like it's making a channel here now. Okay. Kind of channeling there. So it could still go up more. Right, in a channel like that, they could still go up. And this broke the top, so we should probably be looking for sell setups. Right, you're gonna get a 1, 2, 3. If you get a flag here, you sell. If they consolidate here, you short term. Any buy is a short term one. But any flag you get will be a sell. And that's a good sell. Any upside now becomes very short term. And this is the same thing, right? We don't necessarily have to break that up. So if this starts to come down, go for the trade. But if this turns out to be more of a flat here, then we'll go one more up and then look for the downside. LTC. Okay, so we broke the top. Wait for sell setups. Once you broke that top, wait for sell setups here. And ADA. Well, this probably could go a little more. Break the top first. We probably this move. Let's see if we broke the top. Yeah, we kind of tag it, so that's okay. Right? We tag the top so they can come down now. Which means if you get flag here, you sell. If they make a flat there, you one more up. Right? But at any one time that could start falling. The sell is a better idea. It already tagged the top, so they don't have to go much more. It doesn't mean they can't go more. It just means they don't need to go more. But if this go up some more, you can look for short-term buys. The sell is a drop to break the low. I think that's about it. We managed to complete that pretty long webinar because I did a lot of explanation in between. So all of you trade carefully. I will try to do an update by Wednesday for YouTubers. If you manage to watch it today, and great. If you like it, share it. Thank you very much. Have a great trading week ahead.